Hello, let's go today with The Blue Lagoon. You probably remember the movies from the 80s, and they also made another one in the 90s, the beginning of the 90s, I guess. The first one was with Brooke Shields, if I'm not mistaken. And it was an amazing movie, of course, but that's the story that gets told in the novel. All the other adaptations have been a bit more freestyle, and the concept is exactly the same. It's about a young guy and a young girl. Well, actually, two children that grow up to be a young guy and a young girl in an island without external influences and all that stuff, and they discover their true nature, and they face human problems without external influences. So it's interesting to watch because without anyone telling a girl what a period is, or without anyone telling a boy how to behave with women, or how to hunt, or how to fish and all that stuff, it gets more complicated, like more wild in a way. And it's an interesting romantic story. It's one of the main stories of the 20th century, but a lot of people just feel contempt with the movie, and they don't actually explore the book, which is a mistake in my opinion. Stackpool only had this novel that was somehow appealing. He had more novels after this one, but the plot gets twisted, and there are more there are more people coming into it. So the more characters you add to this story, the more you spoil it. Like the interesting idea is to see a young boy and a young girl in an island, living by themselves, and see what happens. As soon as you have more characters, it becomes just another story. So the second part, I wouldn't recommend it. I think there is a third part, even that's even worse. But the first one is very well written. The story is interesting, and I would recommend this novel if you can, of course, ignore this horrible transcription of the accent of the sailor. I guess he has one of these low class accents for sailors. He doesn't sound like a pirate apparently, but yeah, he doesn't sound much like a gentleman either. So yeah, very good book. The only book that this writer has that is actually famous and successful. The movies were amazing. I would recommend you the first one and the second one with Mila Jovovich. They also made another adaptation in the 2000s. The actress is very beautiful. Like in the three movies, the actresses are, of course, very beautiful. But the plot in the newest movie gets a bit more twisted by the fact that these children didn't grow in the island. It's just two developed teenagers ending up on an island. So you don't really get to see how they go from children to adolescent to adults. They are already adults in that island, or young adults. So it's not as interesting as with the first movie, because they arrive there being 7, 8 years old, and they grow up apparently until they are like 9, 10 years old, with the help of this sailor that explains them a couple of things. And yeah, it's a very good novel, and I hope you enjoy it if you decide to read it. And of course, as always, official edition. Whatever official edition you can find out there. My favorite is this one. I like the cover, and it's very well written. It has a nice font. I don't have any problem with small fonts, other than I don't know. I prefer big fonts. It's not as if it discourages me totally from reading a book, but I prefer if a font is actually readable.